I know it's a bit early in the season, but how you feeling about Solo Leveling Season 2? I think they're doing an awesome job with Solo Leveling Season 2. I think unlike other manga, I'm sorry, other anime that are currently going on in the season, the studio that actually does Solo Leveling had the time and patience and room to breathe and make a genuinely good adaptation of the show. Obviously it's not, see, so this is my thing, right? So like when people complain about not every single anime needs to be a ufotable demon slayer with particle effects flying around, anime can just be serviceable. What they're talking about is an anime like Solo Leveling, because Solo Leveling isn't, you know, above the wall 10 out of 10 particle effects flying everywhere, ufotable, fucking insane Sakuga Mappa anime. But you can tell the people that are making that shit have the time to perfect every split piece of animation and just make everything as good as it needs to be. Like, let me see if I can pull up. Let me see if I can pull something up here. So I'll kind of skip through this a little bit here, but like, look at this. Like, this is like the care behind this, right? Like, watch this shit with the fucking arrows, dog. Like, they cared about that. They put some heart and soul into that. Let me see if I can find him fighting with Barca. And like, look at that. The animation is key. It's not fucking stellar, amazing, and perfect, but it's just enough to make this seem epic, right? You don't need ufotable style animation to be perfect. However, when you fucking talk about, like, when you look at like that compared to like the Sakamoto Days boiled fight, like, and people are like, oh, like, you know, not every anime needs to be a 10 out of 10. It's like, no, not every anime needs to be a 10 out of 10, but maybe we should give these people a little bit more time to, you know, perfect their craft a little bit, huh? It is boiled. Like, this is okay. It's serviceable. But look how much slower, how much stiffer the animation is. It's okay. I don't think the anime is too bad so far. I think the animation is fine. But like, the Solo Leveling is what people talk about when they're like, anime doesn't need to be 10 out of 10. It can be a 7 out of 10 and be fine. Solo Leveling is like an 8, 7 out of 10. It's still good and fun to watch. Sakamoto Days, when they did the Shin fight, I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. They're doing such a great job with this. Like, I love what this animation studio is doing, and they're really bringing everything they can with the time that they had. And then they released things like, you know, the boiled fight. I've heard this new Heisuke episode wasn't that great. It's just here. Tower of God was a letdown. It's these studios, they release like 1 or 2 good episodes, and then they're like, all right, let's drop the fucking bomb. And then it's literally just never that great of animation past that point. What did I think of season 2 of Blue Lock? Season 2 of Blue Lock was, they really just fucked that shit up. They can make the final episodes as good as they wanted to. They should have done that the whole season. I don't forgive them. I don't forgive them at all. I think anyone that does forgive them should be ashamed of themselves. They can't keep getting away with this. These animation studios can't keep getting away with feeding us schlop and then making it all okay by like changing it up at the very end. It's like releasing a video game incomplete and then needing patches. Yeah, it's bullshit. We should just stop doing this, right? We should just stop accepting this and admit that it's stupid. Instead of us like Feeding these employees little work for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and wondering why their product sucks. I mean, yeah, it's they have to give these people more time. They have to give these people more time. It's my problem is never the animators, the hard workers that put all the time and effort into this bullshit. It's the bosses, the people that run these studios that don't want to take the extra time to put in the good work and respect their workers. That's really the problem. These animation studios would give us what we want if they had proper funding and salaries, less dumb deadlines. Well, that's what I mean. That's exactly what it is. It's the directors and the executives at the heart of everything. And you can see a lot of it. You can see a lot of it happen with Uzumaki, right? Where Uzumaki, there was a video that I watched on what happened to Uzumaki. Was it Mother's Basement? There's a video I watched on what happened, and I can summarize what happened, but I think you should watch the entire video to understand. Mother's Basement did it. It's an amazing video. I think you should check it out. But basically what it was is, to give you the footnotes version, Uzumaki was given to Adult Swim based on a very collective agreement. It was very much like very like specific. They approached Junji Ito, or like I said, I might get some stuff wrong. Watch the video, please, to get the full understanding. But basically, long story short, they put together this contract about 4 years ago or so, or a couple of years ago when they first wanted to make Uzumaki. They were promised this select studio that was going to work on Uzumaki, and all of this money was being funneled to this Uzumaki studio. And when they made this agreement, they were promised unlimited time, unlimited resources. I think maybe I'm wrong on the unlimited resource, but they were promised as much time as they needed to do what they could to make the best adaptation possible. They were promised that time, and they were also promised to be funded properly the entire time while they were doing it, regardless of how long it took, because the people that were in charge of working out this deal and working out this animation were so in love with everything and wanted to make sure that this was the best possible adaptation of Uzumaki they could ever possibly get. They signed the deal. Everyone was on board. Everything was perfect. Adult Swim was cool with it. 2-3 years go on. They're putting in all their effort they can into this anime. Maybe I'm wrong on the timeline. Maybe it's not as long. A couple years go by. Ownership of the parent company, or the company that owns Adult Swim, changes. New CEO, new CFO, whoever, new important person at the top of everything. This guy is in charge of fixing money problems in the company. Now, obviously, when you have everything running as normal in a company, it's kind of tough to do that. But when everything is running as normal, but there's also this very select studio working on a very niche, very specific project that may not really be full mainstream appeal, and they're dumping all of this money into it to give them all the time they need, as much time as they need, for multiple years to work on this animation that, again, very niche, probably not going to be very mainstream. What do you think that CEO, CFO, whatever his position was, what do you think was one of the first things this man did when he stepped into office to try and cut money? And big surprise, no surprise, he immediately said, "You guys are fucking insane. You need to release this product now or do nothing, and you're all losing your jobs and quitting." Yeah, got rid of the coffee machine. Yeah, that would make the most sense. So the people that were in charge of doing this had basically, 2-3 options, I think. It was give up on the product that they had spent already years storyboarding, directing, getting everything out off the ground, and getting everything, doing their best to make the best adaptation. Just scrap everything, not do Uzumaki, what all these people wanted to do, and everyone was out of a job. They could release what they already had, and again, not finish the series, and everyone was out of a job. Or they could release the best they had to make sure that they could put the amount of effort possible into the episodes that they had episodes and scenes that they had mostly done, and do their best to shit out what they possibly could in the time frame that they were given, to make sure that they all not only were able to keep their jobs, but they could at the very least still produce the project that they spent years and put their hearts and souls into. So again, out of those three options, two of them resulting in them being unemployed, and Uzumaki basically just either not being done or coming out with just 1-2 episodes and it never getting finished. They chose the option of doing the best they could on episode 1, doing the best they could on episode 2 a little bit, and then it just went full downgrade from that point on. And again, that has nothing to do with the animators that had heart and soul into wanting to do this project. That has nothing to do with the people that originally signed this deal in the first place and convinced these Japanese executives to put such a cherished and treasured product into these people's hands, that is fully and wholeheartedly corporate greed. No, plain and simple. There's no way else to explain it. No way else to explain it other than that. That's really what it is, and that's my issue with things like Blue Lock. That's my issue with things like Sakamoto Days as of right now. Because again, you can argue and you can cope and you can complain that, you know, we're lucky to have gotten anything at all, which I'm sorry to be mean, but frankly, that's such a cucked response. I describe it and I bring it to an analogy of, it's like going to a high-class restaurant, luxury restaurant, full of fine dining and breathing. Get served your food cold, and the person at the table next to you says, well, you should be lucky to be here in the first place. You should be lucky to try and eat this food anyway. No, this is a 5-star restaurant. Give me what I paid for. Don't tell me that I'm lucky to be able to afford this slop. Give me what I paid for, right? That's kind of the way that I look at it. I think, like I said, if you're one of those people, no hate to you. Everyone's allowed to have their own opinion. I would never hate someone because of their opinion. It's just not who I am as a person. But personally, I think it's people like that are the reason that we get shit like this, because they know, these executives know, no matter what they do, there will always be a select group of people that will defend the anime or product to their dying breath, even though they don't deserve the defense. And I don't understand why. I don't know why. Again, I get it. You know, I understand the whole, like, oh, well, we're lucky. Some manga don't even get picked up for an anime. You know, it could have just never gotten picked up for an anime. Let's, where does Sakamoto Days rank in Shonen Jump? I don't know if it ranks too high. According to weekly Shonen Jump rankings, Sakamoto Days is currently considered to be among the top titles, often ranking within the top 3, placing it as one of the most popular series currently running in the magazine. It is regularly featured on the front pages of Shonen Jump alongside other top titles. Why would you say that one of the top 3 series in Shonen Jump was lucky to get an anime in the first place? What made you think that this anime wasn't going to that this manga wasn't always going to get an anime? And again, I don't think the animation for Sakamoto Days is that bad. Genuinely, I don't think it's like Blue Lock levels of terrible, where they're literally putting in still shots and making the picture wave to make it seem like the picture is moving. I would never argue that. But I will say that, you know, the anime deserved a little bit more time to cook. And again, if you want to say that I'm the problem for just overall, not even saying that the anime is bad, right? Saying that the anime probably just needed a little bit more time in the oven. I frankly think it's a very, I don't understand it. I don't understand why why we're licking the boots of the corporate executives that don't give a fuck about us anyway, and they just want to take our money and run. I'm personally a fan of getting the amount of value that I pay for. And if you want to be like, we're not the target audience of these anime and mangas, stop coping. It's not 1990. It's not early 2000s. These anime and manga corporations surely and 100%, they may not give a fuck about our opinions, but they surely want us to consume their fucking products because they make more money regardless. To act like the Japanese studios don't care about Western markets anymore is insane. We live in a pretty much almost global economy at this point. If you think that Japan isn't trying to make more money by selling anime to us and capitalizing on that as well as selling it to them, then the English dub and English sub shit would not be as so much better than it is now than it was 10 something years ago. You used to have to wait almost a full fucking month or almost full seasons to get dubs of certain anime. Now 9 times out of 10, the dub is coming out, if not the same week, the week before, or maybe a couple weeks after. It's actually genuinely insane. The amount of inner workings between all of these different corporations and all of these different companies on a global scale now is ridiculous. And again, we're not in early 2000s, 1990s, where yes, Japan did not give a fuck about Western audiences. Even early 2010s, they didn't give a fuck about early Western audiences. But now in the 2020s, going into late 2020s to early 2030s, it's absolute cope to act like these companies are not at the very least trying to have us watch their shit. So yes, the money that we pay to our streaming services, the money that we pay to Crunchyroll, to Hulu, to all of these different streaming services that host these animes, sometimes exclusively, by the way. You can only watch Bleach 1000 Year Blood War on Hulu. So yes, I am paying money directly into the pockets of Bleach 1000 Year Blood War. But again, that's the Bleach isn't my problem. I think Bleach animation is stellar. But again, and I'm paying money for Crunchyroll. I am paying money for these animation studios to produce this content. They may not get all of the money, but it is still money. It's the same thing as like it's the same thing as someone would say, buy the fucking album from an artist. Like, is that artist getting all of the money from that album? No, but you're still supporting them by buying the album. It's the same kind of concept, right? So yes, I am paying for these products, and if they keep producing piss poor products, I'm not gonna watch it. I'm not going to care. Saga One Day should have gotten the same dedication One Piece and JJK gets. I know it'll improve, and that's also the thing that I'm very staunchly worried about, because a lot of people will say that, well, you know what, we just have to deal with this for season 1 and then season 2 will be better. Is that truly the case? Because we have Blue Lock, who was genuinely the top manga, the best-selling manga, and still is in the top 5 manga in the world, selling globally, and season 2 was garbage. Season 2 was worse than season 1 was. So it makes me worried that like the whole, we have to have a shit season 1 to get a good season 2 is also very tough to believe, because if that's the case, then Blue Lock season 2 should have been even better. How was Blue Lock season 1 better than season 2? I'll tell you why Blue Lock Season 1 was better than Season 2. Because Blue Lock Season 1 was so good, they decided that they would put their whole entire fucking bussy and team into fucking making Episode Nagi, the movie that no one gave a fuck about, and then instead of giving their animators a break or time to breathe, they immediately had them start animating Season 2. And then when they said you have to have it out by this certain time, and they weren't able to meet the deadlines, they said, all right, well, we'll just release this terrible product anyway. Corporate fucking greed is always the obstacle in the way of good adaptations. It's not because the studio's doing their best with the resources that they have. The animators can't produce 10 out of 10 ufotable Demon Slayer content every time. We should be lucky to get this anime in the first place, and they're doing the best they can. When it's like, you're completely missing the point of the argument. Completely missing the point of the argument, in my honest and full opinion.